to the destination for TV super fan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Sadness. Pure sadness. Nothing but sadness because it's Camp Camp. I'm kidding! There's a lot of comedy that we're going to be talking about right now on the Camp Camp After Show right here on AFTERBUZZ TV. We got 4 of the 5 squad members because there's only 4 seats. We can't have all 5 people here. We love Patrick and we miss him. Welcome to the show. Let's start at the far left. My far left, Stacey Shuttleworth.
Hey guys, I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stacey Shuttles.
Megan Salinas.
Hey guys, I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
Katie Cullen.
Hi, all my buddies. You can follow me all over the social media at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet.
And I'm Mark Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Donica. We got to get to it because there's a lot of stuff. Welcome to the Camp Camp After Show. Unfortunately, this is the last one of the season, but we do have a special announcement that's going to be happening closer towards the end. Closer towards the end of the episode, so make sure to stay in here. Now, just to get to it, we've got some camp activities to go over. Last show, we talked about people sending in either their illustrations of David and Bonquisha's first date, and we had to keep it safe for work. Now, we had one that was submitted 47 minutes or 30 minutes ago.
I love this. I love it so much.
It's really cute. Unfortunately, we couldn't queue it up in time. I had the cutoff at 4 p.m. Thank you to D Jester's chessboard. You can't see it, but it's on the ABTV Camp Camp hashtag, and it's David and Bonquisha going rock climbing.
David gave her the option of doing indoor rock climbing or singing the Camp Campbell song. Guess what won?
That boy doesn't know anything about dates. If it's like, hey, let's sing one song, and that will be that. What a poor dear. What a poor dear.
I love this.
He's quick.
This is I'm going right back to shipping them, and it makes me sad that they broke up.
It can be canon in your heart.
Yep.
True.
Most things are, especially if you're on Tumblr. We also got from camper Lindo Crimson. We got it'll go up in just a moment, but we got a wonderful piece of art where it's actually Bonquisha taking David to Muffin Tops. It's on the sign. We're gonna put it up in just a moment. We're sort of freaking out our engineer by going turbo into this segment, but if you can check it out there, thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to Lindo Crimson and everybody who submitted a camp activity for this. Just because we're not going to be up to date on Camp Camp until the next time they come around doesn't mean you still can't submit. So if you listen to any of our other shows and have those various camp activities that you want to submit, please go on back. Because
Cam Griffin literally just sent theirs in.
Fantastic.
You want to describe it?
I can't draw David and Bonquisha dating, but Nikki can. They're holding hands.
Oh, that's
Look at that.
Cute.
It's so
That is
sweet.
tiny and adorable.
It's like Nikki drew it. It's so cute.
Just close up on it after the fact. Don't worry.
Zoom and enhance.
Yeah, don't worry about that, Steve. But yes, we also got, we talked about another camp activity, which was tell us about, show us our Costco. I don't know where that one ended up. I think Caitlin responded to one of our tweets with it. Yeah. Caitlin Geddes sent us a picture, just a visualization of what the Costco thing was, and you can find that on our hashtag as well. ABTV Camp Camp. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted, and thank you for everybody who's joining us live. We absolutely, thoroughly appreciate all of the love that we get for this show and doing the show because we love talking about it. Now, for the love of God, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
At RTX, we asked a couple of people what episode in season 2 of Camp Camp are you most excited for, and a lot of them said Space Kids episode. Now, of these 3 episodes that we did get, Space Camp was a hoax, Cooking Cookies, and Parents' Day. What was everybody's favorite episode?
I hesitate to go straight for Parents' Day because it's like, oh, it's this, and oh, it's the finale, and it's this and that and the other. Like, it was amazing. Flower Scouts, y'all. I have done cookie sales. I am
Been there.
I like Parents' Day wins hands down, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to also give it to the Flower Scouts credit. Just seeing their rise to power was an incredible sight.
Yep. Parents' Day definitely takes the cake for me. It kind of just hit all of the spots, but Man, the ridiculousness that was the Flower Scouts.
Not to
going
mention
on.
it had so much buildup. Like
Yes.
that and Parents'
The
Day.
cookie
They had,
sale, yeah.
They had the most buildup throughout the course of the series, of this season.
I would say Space Kid for the entire series because we don't know anything
That's true.
about him up to this point,
Yep.
and nobody takes him seriously.
Right.
And it's hard to pick as well out of these three. Well, I want to talk about it more when we go a little bit more in depth into Cooking Cookies. But I loved the performances. I love the humor. That type of a story is a little bit like on the surface for me because of course, Girl Scout cookies are drugs. Let's make that. Let's make that real. Cool.
But it was fun.
Sure, of course it was fun. That's the thing. It was fun because we had the characters. To me, anyway. I loved all of the characterizations and how far Sam has taken the Flower Scouts from season 1 to now, where she said in I think our interview at RTX last year that she was like, "Oh, I'm just doing the same voice for everybody," but now. You wouldn't be able to tell. You definitely wouldn't be able to tell.
Oh, God. I would watch her do a one-woman show. Like, absolutely.
I think we kind of did.
That's what that episode was.
It was a pretty glorious episode. That was a blast.
Malachroma in chat saying, of all three of these episodes were amazing. The season's latter half was just fantastic. Can agree with that. There's a whole bunch of winners here. Oh, boy. So let's get started with Space Camp Was a Hoax. Now... It's slowly been shifting that our three lead characters, even though we've known from the very beginning, are terrible people. And it's now Space Kid's time in the sun. Everybody wants to give Space Kid not only the obligatory experience that he signed up for with the camp, but also they just want to help him out to live his dream of being a space goer, despite not taking him very seriously. But even if you take these moments where Space Kid is being annoying, how would you react in a situation where somebody is just so hyped up about something that maybe they ruin a part of your day?
You get on with the rest of your day. But I'm also an adult. So when I was 10, I probably would have planned some form of petty revenge or just pushed them.
Yeah, when you're a kid. Honestly, I can't, Space Kid is just kind of off in his own little world most of the time.
Quite literally.
I kind of don't feel the need to, I wouldn't feel the need to disrupt that. As long as it didn't actively annoy me. I guess the whole point of the beginning of this episode was showing that his passion was really annoying everybody else.
He tore half of Nikki's hair out. That would be a rage button for me.
That's fair.
I have
That's
murdered
fair.
people for less.
That is actively
You've murdered people? Wait,
No.
Pause real quick. Wait a minute. What?
Y'all need to raise your expectations. I expect one murder from each of you before pass the test.
See, this is the murder side of the table, and
I guess we've got.
I guess we've got some catching up to do. I guess we'll talk afterwards and we'll workshop, I guess, techniques. I don't know.
you listen to enough My Favorite Murder that you should have your choice of techniques by now.
Yeah, we just need the teardrop.
But
Hello, darkness, my
But
old
yeah,
friend.
I think we've all been there in a conversation with somebody who is very passionate about something you could care less about. And the best thing to do when you're doing that is to exit that conversation after an appropriate amount of time so you're not being super rude. But there does come to be a time where somebody does need to be taken aside and be like, look, you got to tone it down a couple notches just for everyone else's sake.
Give everyone a break sometimes.
Despite Nikki seemingly growing her hair back instantly, or I question the validity of the reality of that hair.
She might have also just taken out the one remaining ponytail and made pigtails out of that.
Oh, that's true.
She's just very creative.
Very versatile.
Hair tricks. She was a Flower Scout for a short amount of time.
True.
Pick something
Very
up
true.
there. Yeah.
Learn something from there. Now, Stacey, I want to hear from you. This brochure for Space Camp shows the ability not only to go into space, but to record it and tape it. Why do you think Cameron Campbell, of all people, the cheapskate of all cheapskates, would have put that on a quote legally binding document?
I mean, at first I'd be like, well, maybe he thought no one would sign up for space camp, but it's space camp. Of course you're going to have kids signing up for space camp. So I really,
And what do you think? What year do you think space camp was instituted to where you could probably fake something like that?
This may be a very old brochure. Maybe they picked it up somewhere along the way and were like, look, this is a great space camp. We'll just send him to this without doing any research on the current camp.
Here's what gets me. He's related to Neil Armstrong. Buzz Aldrin shows up as his family member. Couldn't they get him into actual space camp?
You would think.
You would think with that kind of pedigree,
neglect on his parents.
you would think with that kind of pedigree, you really could just here you go.
Well, Megan, you bring up a very good point. Neglect on his parents' part. They don't even come to Parents' Day. It's
No.
just quote Uncle Buzz.
And we don't see. I thought it was a good choice too because we don't see Space Kid's face when he says that, when he says, "Oh, they couldn't make it," because it's we'll talk about it more later, because it's a potential bonding moment with Max at that time. So it was a really good decision, I think, to hide the actual facial expression because you don't know what emotion is being charged behind it.
And it could also be a situation where a lot of families with a family business want to keep their kids out of that field because they know the dangers that are involved with it. And this could be a situation where he was so infatuated with his great grandfather, even to the point of being named after, to sort of, okay, that's all you get. That's the family thing that you get. No, don't. And they sent him to this crappy camp maybe to dissuade him from that.
Maybe they knew that you could never actually be sent to space and have it filmed, so they're like, yeah, this is absolutely the choice because he will never actually get any real space training.
Or maybe they fall for it because NASA's actual space camp doesn't send you to space. But this one will.
You know, there's an interesting line in the Parents' Day episode that Buzz says. He says, "Yes, you sent me a doctored videotape. Why would it be sent to him instead of Space Kid's parents?"
Space Kid's parents might have shown the whole family.
They
He's part of the family, evidently.
No, but he said you sent me. So like they must have provided his address to be
Emergency contact.
Yeah.
Probably could be the emergency
Could be,
contact. But
yeah.
it could also be like, hey, he did it. Let's all crowd around as a family and
That's
watch
kind
this
of what I'm
video.
thinking, yeah.
I'm thinking maybe they just didn't care and they're like, "Oh, send it to Uncle Buzz. He understands this thing. We don't really care about the whole space
Like it
thing."
skipped a couple generations.
Yeah.
Now, when he was getting the questionnaire done, says his name's Neil Armstrong, knows his space trivia, like very well.
So possibly hundreds?
But was anybody suspect? Did anybody think, oh, he's just really excited, or did anybody think this is real?
Oh, I was absolutely certain that it was real. Rooster Teeth as a company is not above, hey, that's actually this, hey, it's actually that, and then having a joke pay off way down the line. So, yeah, I was named for my great-grandpa. I'm like, sure, why not?
I believe
And then when you have a tiny child who is obsessed with something, they know everything. If you ever knew that dinosaur-obsessed kid, he could tell you how many vertebrae a brachiosaur had. Like, they know everything about what they care about. I was an expert on Dalmatians for a while when I was a child because I wanted one.
I believed him simply because the joke of there being two Neils, particularly Neil and Space Kid, having that same first name was a joke I knew the series couldn't pass up once they introduced the idea.
Absolutely.
True.
Yeah, but especially with the kind of person we know Neil is.
Polychroma says maybe his parents are in space right now.
I like Reggie. Maybe parents are astronauts themselves.
Maybe.
And currently in space.
He did say they couldn't come. Maybe because
They're on the
orbiting
ISS.
the Earth.
Yeah.
They sent him to this camp because it was going to be at the same time that they're aboard the ISS.
Aw.
Oh, you can come meet us in space! we'll have a picnic.
Oh,
That's
a space picnic.
Yeah, I'm into a space picnic. Now, Max and the team just totally try to sabotage everything, and Gwen and David are doing everything that they can, which isn't a lot, to try to convince now Neil that this is gonna be a real experience. I don't know how they figured that this was gonna work, but we'll get something out of it.
Space Kid's not hard to pull one over on.
Well, it's kind of funny because I think Space Kid knew that, like, even though he's like, oh, Max is just jealous that I'm going to get to go to space, I feel like at some point he knew that, like, it's not something the camp was actually going to be able to do, because when they drag him out, granted, he's feeling terrible, but when they're dragging him out, he's like, hey, guys, can we just play space later?
But to both of those points, he was
super sick.
Well, no. He was convinced to stare directly into the sun. It's not our brightest boy.
My eyes hurt.
Bless our boy.
Oh, child.
I love the gender, human, race,
Blood, red. Beat the Soviets.
Soviets. That's the spirit.
I'm gonna eat some of this cheese. We're gonna black Desert Tower.
Astronaut has one S, and you know it.
Nerf. Okay, we're gonna talk about that after we get done with talking about the episodes. But ends up having a fever dream by eating the decades old space food, which is like, it's like a Homestar Runner joke, the way that they quote space food.
It was basically saltine crackers, wasn't it?
No, it looked like old tuna sandwiches.
Oh, was it?
Or like just old sandwiches with like the bread was like pink and moldy, and then put them on a bottle of NyQuil, and
Recipe for disaster.
just seeing him wake up as Fever Dream Space Kid was so hopeful, so great, and then just the immediate comeback of
Lindsay in this
cutting,
episode
yes.
is just so great.
Happy birthday, Lindsay Jones, because it's her birthday.
Well, the cutting between fantasy and reality.
Wonderful.
Expectations and reality.
I love it when movies and TV shows cut between the fantasy and what's actually going on. It's always a fun trope to sort of play around with. It's even funnier when it's a NyQuil fueled fever dream.
NyQuil will mess you up.
Oh, yeah, well.
Camp activity. Tell us about your NyQuil fuel fever. If you want to, sure, please go ahead.
Please
I
don't
want to hear about this.
Please don't drink a bottle of NyQuil.
No.
Don't.
No.
Only
Please
previous
don't do that.
experiences. Don't make new ones. But if you do, try ZQuil instead. That way you don't have to cure a fake cold that doesn't exist. But
It's over the counter. It's the 13th step. You can drink it.
God bless America.
Capital and small y, big Q.
What? And now I just want to listen to Dennis Leary. But
I'm glad you got that.
yeah. It's in my head and I want to say it, but I can't. I know we're a restricted podcast.
The Q is talking to me. The Q is talking to me.
Well, we love you.
You giant effing Q.
No, we got a moment of zero gravity of sending the washing machine apparatus over to Spooky Island, and just all of the things that he ends up seeing, communicating with aliens, even the I think my favorite cut back to reality was seeing him like, gravity, a space rock, and then him just reaching for the shell. Oh, get it.
He couldn't even pick it up.
Oh, get it.
Oh my gosh.
It's too bad that Jasper didn't show up. We could have had a space ghost.
I hate
New
you.
frontiers.
I hate you so much. Although, I'm not gonna lie, seeing him catapulted from the mainland to Spooky Island without getting killed, I was like, man, is that what happened to Jasper? Only he wasn't as lucky.
No.
Thank God for cartoon physics.
And Indiana Jones physics. We know that if it's any sort of an appliance, you're safe.
Yeah.
Nuclear
This is
war,
a good point.
impacts, you're all
Especially
set.
if it's a lead-lined one, you're good from any nuclear
Absolutely,
explosion.
everything.
You're all set.
Now, this whole experience, this whole terrifying experience, just makes him love space more. Fever dream and all. And despite all of this, we're like, good, we did a good thing today. And David, who's been knocking it out of the park with all these morals, goes, as long as everybody comes out okay, it's okay if you fib a little.
Is that a good moral?
You can't win them all, David. That's fine.
Lampshade.
And we found out nobody recorded it, so we're just going to Photoshop the whole thing. And I didn't expect that we were going to see the crappily Photoshopped video as the credits, but that was really fun. Any other thoughts on Space Camp was a hoax?
What a good stinger scene. I was not expecting a stinger.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
Now what?
What do you do after you achieve your dreams?
Yeah.
Find a new dream.
He's gonna go on a equal bender and just
God.
not be. I mean,
You were my new dream.
What happened? Thank you. That's where I was going. What happens on the moon stays on the moon. Anyway.
next episode, cooking cookies. Now, weird sort of coming to fruition moment of the Wood Scouts popcorn sales being super successful to the point where the Wood Scouts the Flower Scouts can't sell any of their cookies.
And that's how you know we live in a fantasy world, because there's no way, literally no way.
That's Sleepy Peak. Sleepy Peak is they don't care. One sweet.
One
That's all we
sweet
can
ever.
do. That's why they got rid of fun and not 9. There's just too many sweets.
Actually, that checks out. That makes sense.
You know?
We don't like sweets here. Now, this whole thing, who was your favorite Flower Scout throughout this entire episode?
Tabby.
I mean,
It's hard to outdo Tabby.
they all had like wonderful, stunning moments. I felt really bad. Was it Erin that kept getting shot down every single time?
Well, no, she kept getting shot down and then shooting other people down.
Yeah, she kind of gave it back just as good
Okay.
as she got towards the end of the episode.
Because I was starting to feel bad for her towards the middle of the episode because she just kept getting shot down. But yeah, it's hard to argue with Tabby with one eye.
I know Garden Mother Penelope is a beacon of
Oh,
influence,
Garden Mother.
but you sound really stupid right now. I'm sorry.
Garden Mother has a wine headache.
For me, it was all about Sasha because the lowest amount of effort to get the highest reward, and the moment where, and this is going way forward, where they're like, they want to see you, and she just. That spoke to me on a purely emotional level.
I think my
It's my new
favorite.
ringtone.
I think my favorite line.
Is it really?
I want it to be.
Was Sasha saying, "Do you really want to mess with these bitches, or do you want to buy some cookies?"
Perfect.
We're in Cabo?
So there was a lot. There's a lot of story to tell in such a small period of time, but ultimately they add crystal meth to their cookies and become the new drug lords of Sleepy Peak, to where they become known as the Las Diablitas, which is a hell of a thing to say.
Las Diablitas? Las Diablitas.
How did everybody appreciate the Breaking Bad reference?
That was cool. I laughed.
Really on the nose.
They showed the danger, the one who knocks, who's boss.
And now can we go back and get 3 Girl Scouts inserted posthumously into Breaking Bad?
Oh my gosh.
Like
that would
in
have
Well, the show would then just be about them.
Yeah, that's the spin-off. Let's get AMC to make a spin-off of this episode.
That could be the new Better Call Saul, right?
Las Diablitas. It's like Hell on Wheels, but better.
I think one of the things that makes I've made the comparison with Camp Camp to South Park on more than one occasion.
Oh, sure.
To me, this is one of the most South Parkiest in terms of feelings.
Oh,
Because there are lots of South Park episodes where the kids are completely oblivious to the terrible, horrible thing that they're actually doing. And so to me, this very much felt like an episode of South Park where the kids are just coasting, not realizing the implications of everything that they're doing.
And the whole point of them trying to sell the most is so that their particular troop can win a trip to Cabo. Little do they know that Cabo is in Mexico, and they consider Mexico a third world country. Which is really shitty of them.
Racist little garbage people.
They have rich people in Mexico?
No, it's like in North Korea. It's just a show when people visit, which is a hell of a reference.
You're
Good
so
on Aaron.
smart.
Yeah, so all of this, the humor, all of the dialogue, and just how I kind of wish we would have gotten a little bit more from the rest of their troop, but we don't really get to see the rest of that from the Wood Scouts either. Mm-hmm. So even the fact that we just got the Garden Mother was a very welcome addition to this crazy group of characters. But just in the sake of time, any other highlights from Cooking Cookies before we move on to Parents' Day?
I just feel like this episode was written by someone, or someone was in the writer's room who was a Girl Scout and sold Girl Scout cookies because, oh My God.
They knew the hustle.
It's
That's
All
weird.
about that hustle.
selling Girl Scout cookies, if you're doing it outside of your little door-to-door neighborhood, is extremely structured. You can be in front of this Vaughn's at this table, and the table has to be this big, and you can only be there for this 2-hour window, and you have to leave at this point because the other troop that's also in the same district is going to want to be there at exactly that time to start selling their cookies, and they're... Yeah.
There's a reason why there are turf war comparisons, for sure.
And everyone gives their sheet to their dad or their mom to bring into work to sell cookies. And I couldn't do that as a kid because my dad's a ranking military officer. And you can't ask your subordinates to buy your
Instilling-
daughter's cookies.
No, it's
it doesn't
instilling-
work that way.
It's also instilling contraband, I figure. That could be
It's
bought
not
and
even
sold
that.
and
It's an
traded.
abuse of
course,
rank.
sure. No,
There's no way.
That first, then the other part.
10-year-old Katie did not understand that, and 10-year-old Katie was pissed that she had to go door to door to get to 100 boxes to get the stuffed dolphin. 10-year-old Katie got the stuffed dolphin.
ABD Crudell in chat says it was apparently Miles who wrote this one. Maybe got a lot of insight.
I mean, Boy Scouts probably had to do similar things.
It's not nearly as insane.
Not the same.
No. I will say, I think my favorite reference in this episode actually wasn't the Breaking Bad reference. I want to say it was Dirty Kevin. Dirty Kevin don't sell to no kid.
Dirty Kevin, though.
So here's the weird thing is that character was played by Rocco from Mega 64, who has a very distinct voice, but it also reminded me of the guy who voices Mr. Universe from Steven Universe.
A little bit of Greg.
Yeah,
Greg.
Greg. It has a similar lisp and just a similar sort of cadence of voice, and I was like, they got him to play this kid. That's really, wow, of all people. Oh, it was Rocco. Okay, that makes sense. That was just a really weird, like, that sounds way too familiar.
Someone please draw Greg as Dirty Kevin.
Dirty
Being
Greg.
really confused.
Yeah, it's Dirty Greg.
Dirty Greg meets old Greg.
Okay.
I mean, his pants are already in tatters. Don't.
But you combine just the unkemptness of both and with a van.
How about you?
But Greg is actually a good person.
Favorite moment?
Oh, moment overall. Oh God, it had to be when they were just completely took over the drug just without even trying.
I think the Throne of Cookies was really great.
that was excellent. Now they just barged in there like they own the place.
Las Diablitas? Las
Did
Diablitas.
not expect to see
that
them
little
all
bit.
standing there with guns, just like
Also, they murdered a couple guys.
They did.
Super nonchalantly.
just the whole
It's a part of the hustle.
It is a part of the hustle.
Respect the hustle.
I understand.
William Benson in chat says, former Boy Scout can confirm, even we don't care about the popcorn.
Whenever you see the Boy Scouts selling popcorn like out in front of grocery stores and stuff, you can tell they don't care. They really don't.
You go from
Well, I
learning,
think they know.
They do.
you go from learning how to handle a knife to selling popcorn.
Yeah.
Just randomly. Now, really quickly, before we get to our final episode that we want to talk about, while we have you at the edge of your seat, we have we've kind of a special announcement that we want to do. So check it out. Even though Camp Camp is ending and our after show is ending, we got some news for you. The coverage does not stop here, so we know there are a couple of there's several shows within the Rooster Teeth library that you want us to cover, and we've expressed that we want to cover it, and there's just not enough time in the day. Well, we're excited to announce that we are going to be starting a new show here called the Rooster Teeth Reviews. With us. Now, we are going to be utilizing the Ruby podcast feed. So if you go and subscribe to the AfterBuzz TV Ruby podcast feed, that is going to be made over into the Rooster Teeth Review show. Now, what this means is once a month, we are going to have a show that covers all of the Rooster Teeth shows. So whether that's the Camp Camp shorts that come out, Ruby Chibi, Day 5, any and all of this stuff, we're gonna have an opportunity to talk about those shows. That is going to be on the Ruby feed. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself, but what about the after shows? We ain't going anywhere. The Ruby after show is going to be starting in October, shortly after the beginning of the season. I mean, we used to go two episodes every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't working for us.
No, that's
We
not
decided
enough time.
we're going weekly.
I want more.
We are going to be doing one episode of the after show per episode of Ruby, so that allows us, one, more time to talk about it, and more of an opportunity to have guests on the show, and it's not all not all squished together.
We're not trying
And we're
to
going public release, correct?
And we're going with public release to go along with Rooster Teeth's
Release
guidelines.
policy.
Release
Yeah.
policy. So we're going to continue to discuss all of the news in a monthly manner. So in spring, when there may not be stuff, in the period in between the Summer of Animation and Ruby, we are going to be having one of these Rooster Teeth review shows coming up before the Ruby show. So make sure to follow us on Twitter at ABTV Rooster Team for the update on when that's going to be happening. So go to Apple Podcasts, go to the Ruby After Show feed, and that is going to soon transform into the Rooster Teeth reviews feed. And so that's where all of our after shows are going to go. That's where this monthly show is going to go. And check out AfterBuzzTV.com because these sort of transformations are going to be happening for all of the different types of shows. So go there for more information. If you want more information just from all of us and how we feel, follow all of us on our respective Twitters when we gave them at the top of the show and when we give them at the end of the show. That's Rooster Teeth Reviews coming soon. Boy, are we excited about that.
Yay!
Because if we want to talk about TV,
Oh my
we
gosh.
want to talk about
Guys,
Day 5.
Ruby once a week.
Ruby
once
once
Yes.
a
week.
week.
And we also have some big plans for when the Summer of Animation rolls back around. But that's not until next year, so you're going to have to stay tuned to that. So, all right. Parents' Day, season finale of
my
Camp Camp Season 2.
We have waited for weeks.
Waiting for so long. That is, so we got to meet not everybody's parents. Not everybody's even just parents or
Yeah.
guardians. So we get to meet Carl, Neil's dad. We get
Oh
to
my
meet
god.
Candy, Nikki's mom. Buzz Aldrin is here for Space Kid. Preston's grandma. Harrison's parents. Lieutenant Stuart Houston, who is Dolph's dad. Neris's parents. Mrs. Nerfington. Mr. and Mrs. Never mind, I'm going to save that one. Aaron's cool gay dads that work for the FBI.
I love
Oh,
them.
cool handshake.
Yeah, now...
That was an amazing handshake.
Amazing.
Now,
Let's be real.
I liked my prediction of having Jeff and Griffin as Aaron's parents. This worked out a lot better because we got a plot reason for them to be there too. But favorite parents.
So, absolutely, hands down, Aaron's gay cool dads.
They were great.
Oh, absolute best.
Neris's parents.
Neris's parents.
Neris's
Oh my
mom.
god, she's
It's just-
wonderful.
I will lay out that Neris probably has one of the most stable family structures of anyone at this camp. And she's a giant nerd, and Dad's a giant nerd. But we've figured out a way, like, yes, you can absolutely pursue your passions, but also listen to your mother. And Mom is the quote-unquote normal person in there who still very much loves her nerdy family and tries. And is probably the stable linchpin in this family. Like, there's an actual, like, I'm having trouble in school, talk to Mom. I need to build a new character, talk to Dad. Like, Dad speaks my language, but Mom's the bedrock. And this, it's so cute.
The chat is in agreement. Everybody is saying Neris's parents.
It's super effective.
And I mean,
Pokemon, but I love you for trying. Like,
oh.
oh.
I mean, maybe because we were just surrounded by so many, like, oh my god,
Dysfunctional.
those parents.
Yeah.
They just shone even brighter. But I think even without that, they were just wonderful parents.
Yeah,
And,
they
you know,
like they there was just so not just love, because you can definitely tell that all of the parents love their kids to varying degrees, but they seemed engaged. They like they cared.
They got their stuff figured out, and they cared enough to send their child to a camp that would cater to her interests. May not be the best camp, mind you, and I feel like half the parents here are like, hang on, I thought that. But they cared enough to be like, this is your thing, we're going to send you to a camp for your thing because you love it.
And one of my favorite things about them even more is they probably could have seen the camp for what it was. Oh, they everything's made out of cardboard. And like, oh, cool. That means it's
That's
safe.
perfect.
So you're not playing with actual swords. You're not playing with this and that.
If you can find a LARP where people are playing with actual swords, that's horrifying.
They got the money.
Or the Ren Fair.
They got the money. I loved Graham. I love. That's like, super supportive. That's why Preston shouts at everybody.
It all makes sense now.
I like the little bit of story stuff that we got, how it wasn't, this is everything, this is why everything is how it's supposed to be. It was enough to tease a little bit more and give us some closure while asking an additional question, like Harrison's parents.
Oh my God!
Holy hell!
Poor Harrison.
Not poor. Okay. Yes, poor Harrison, but poor his parents. He made his brother disappear.
Guys, this is the moment where we've had this debate before. Does Harrison actually have magical powers?
Iggy the Coop in chat says Harrison is now the kid from the Twilight Zone episode It's a Good Life.
Did he send his brother to the cornfield?
See, I feel like this is
Good
one of
point.
those things where we can kind of do it in a comedy structure, like, oh, he may or may not have magic. It's funny. We have a negative continuity type of show. We can do that. And it's weird to step away from that and have people who are supposedly normal-ish people dealing with this child that suddenly has powers. Like, here is the real world view of this, in so much as his parents kind of dress like Puritans, and I feel like there's also problems there.
Yeah, they could either just think that be a way too conservative where they just think any sort of magic is the work of the devil, or he could straight up have magic powers.
Well, we know that he can't control it. He even said in season 1, that's kind of why I'm here.
When he couldn't bring the rabbit back.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he's trying to. He's not trying to scare his parents. It doesn't seem like he wants this. He's trying to turn it into a positive.
I mean, they flinch at him and he's like, oh, we're still doing that.
Still doing that.
So sad about
It was
it.
really sad.
And I mean, because he's been surrounded by all these campers who don't do that in his presence now, and you get back to the parents, people who are supposed to love you and like support you, and they're like,
Yeah, if anything, the campers have either been impressed by what he's done or have been like, whatevs, no big deal. And both
they
are
treat
preferable to fear.
But they treat him like a normal kid. Like, oh, he's just doing a magic trick. Oh, whatever. Shut up, Harrison. No one cares. Or, yeah, like you said, they're impressed and they want to see his shows. And then just the butting heads with Neris. He's probably never had a relationship like that before.
Yeah, in like a positive way.
Yeah, as long as you don't, take it to the extreme and try to murder each other, a healthy rivalry can be good for you.
And it's just, it makes him that much more of a sad character when he's there just because he wants his brother back. He's trying to make anything reappear again. So that, I know how to do that, and now I'll think about my brother and get him back, and then maybe my parents will love me again.
Oh, God.
That's exactly what it is.
It really is.
yeah.
It's
I
horrifying.
don't need to cry again. Oh, God.
Let's keep going. Real Buzz Aldrin, voiced by Lauren Sontag, comes and we find out that all of the stuff that Space Kid has been spewing is absolutely true.
To Neil's major dismay.
No, I've been here longer. No, you haven't, but I'm smarter than you. All right.
No argument there.
They both know Morse code. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Fuck off. What did we think of Lieutenant Stuart Houston? And when we found out more about Dolph.
Boy.
My reaction was the exact same as Campbell's. Just like, this picture is coming together. I get it.
Pieces are, yeah, here's all the
That-
pieces. I'm getting it.
That's what you're focusing on.
What's what you're taking away from this?
What got me though is that we never should have raised you on that German base, and I'm like, yeah, but Germany doesn't celebrate Hitler. They have memorials for his victims, not monuments to the man.
It's not inherent.
But the only
Yeah,
reason he
no.
said that in the first place was because he called soccer football.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the
that's
only
true.
reason
It
why.
wasn't even because of his habits.
Yeah, it's
That's
really,
true,
it's
but it's
really
also
just
kinda
to
like.
it's really just to explain the accent because his dad is so American.
Yeah.
Dad needs to. Why couldn't you be into something manly like guns? Oh my God, Dad! Can you not? He's an artist. He has some problems
Although
that probably need to be talked about in terms of influence, but he is an artist,
Be
and that's
careful
okay.
with that wave, Dolph. Just don't.
Good morning,
Hey.
we meet Mrs. Nerfington.
I loved her.
Who's a delight, and we find out that
Nerf's relationship.
Nerf, and it's still kind of a healthy relationship. Nerf still isn't, he doesn't revert. He's trying to deal with what he learned and help his mom out.
I wish I'd known that before I went to prison.
And she's super receptive to it.
Yeah.
I think it's
Right.
because she loves and listens to him, which is why he's so self-aware about his situation, is because his mom genuinely loves him for all of her problems.
Well,
And
his mom might be self-aware about her situation as well, but just because you know it's a thing doesn't necessarily mean you can get out of it.
And we find out his real name is Gaylord, which is why I figured he has people call him Nerf.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and they didn't make a big deal out of it. That was the name, and it was still said very adoringly. And he wasn't like, people call me Nerf here. It was just like, oh, Mom,
I think
Mom
he's just
loves
happy
me.
to spend time with
Exactly.
his mom.
Yeah.
Exactly. We meet Socrates, and we find out that Candy's a little bit of a gold digger.
Who is
little
Neil's
bit.
dad?
Voiced by?
No. Who is he teaching?
Oh.
Because they imply, oh, you're a professor. Do you have tenure? I'm like, I remember being a freshman in college. If I'd been in a philosophy course and someone had whipped out Socrates, I would have been like, all right, so is that drop period over yet? No. Bye.
Out of that, yeah, immediately.
Like, that's philosophy for small children. That's not philosophy for college freshmen, even though they can occasionally be similar.
It was the worst dad joke I've ever heard.
That wasn't even a dad joke. That was just terrible.
No, Carl is the ultimate dad joke.
Yeah.
He's just a joke of a dad. And he's like, look, we're twins. That's the
big
lamest
hot
thing you
mess.
could
It's
do.
the worst.
Also, it's like, I know that voice. Why do I know that voice? Because it's Homestar Runner. It's Matt Chapman from Homestar
Are
Runner.
you kidding?
Not
That's
kidding at all. That is the voice
amazing.
of Carl.
Yes, it is. Oh my god. It makes so much sense.
We're super low on time. One of the things that I want to bring up about this episode is while it is Parents' Day and it is all about the parents and their kids' relationships, I think this is Cameron Campbell's episode. This is all about him and him about the Russians and him trying to save the day. He is the person that can't win, and that's why his situation keeps getting funnier and funnier. But aside from that,
I'll be back.
yeah,
Window jump.
Oh, boy.
included in this is the arrival of Mr. and Mrs. Farts. Like, we straight into another camp. We completely understand. Which really sucks. Really sucks. But it's the ongoing investigation from the FBI. While we're waiting for Max's parents to show up, which he keeps implying that they won't, David and Gwen end up becoming his parents, and we get this adorable thing where Max is trying to show how much of a shitty idea this is, but things keep coming up for everybody else, but not for him.
Well, and we find out that his camp activity is nothing.
His parents literally dropped him off there just to get rid of him.
And I feel like his parents, we see them send him a gift, although it's basically the same hoodie he's wearing. So, so much thought went into that. It's not it's
Which means when they
possibly-
bought his current outfit, they probably literally grabbed the first thing off the rack.
Yeah.
A blank blue hoodie.
This, I feel like, is going into emotional neglect.
Yeah.
Like, they definitely provide for him, but they don't care enough to show up or even be like, what do you like? We'll sign you up for a camp you like. It's just, here is fill in the blank camp, go. No
you go.
wonder he hates everything.
Kids go to camp, right? You go.
Yeah, do they even know what he would like to go to camp for? I mean,
How many
Just
kids
leave it
are in
blank.
the family?
They'll figure
Yeah.
something out.
Well, how many kids are in this family? Because I feel like if there's 10 kids, then okay, we're dealing with a lot. But if he's an only child and this is how he gets treated, and he's old enough to understand what's going on.
yeah, he makes
Like,
it
it's
very
horrifying.
clear that he, he's aware of his situation. He knows why he's acting the way he's acting.
And then Parents' Day is just rubbing it in his
And
face.
yeah, and it so perfectly explains his behavior entirely. Everything leading up to this episode is 100% explained by his parents not showing up. And I'm really glad that they didn't go with my parents are not showing up and then they show up. I'm really
Yeah.
glad that they did.
teased it a
They
couple
teased it
times.
with,
Yeah.
with the
With the
Farts
Fartses.
family showing up.
I am so glad that they didn't, because that was so emotionally powerful. It was a great choice.
They
and
needed
it
that
made
shut-
it straight up made me cry.
They needed that shutdown to happen. So for the sake of time, we're gonna have to rush through. They're doing this performance, trying to find out what everybody had learned, and the last performance is Max, David, and Gwen. But they end up splitting. Cameron ends up getting taken away by the FBI, is blaming Davy for everything.
Vowing revenge.
We did
Help
just,
me back!
just to skip over it. Candy and Neil get caught boning. Sorry, not Neil. That's disgusting. And Carl and Candy and Carl end up boning. You want to get yourself checked for quarter sister. Great callback.
Wonderful.
That took me a second. I was like, oh, that's right. It's an STD. STI, whatever you want to call it. But so we get this wonderful moment at the Sleepy Peak Pizzeria where, you're right. This is stupid. I want you to be able to have fun. Let's have pizza and just try to enjoy ourselves a little bit.
Well, and in terms of David coming up with the good morals this season, like last season finale, it was we try to see the best in things even when it's difficult. And this season finale is you can't look at something that's horrible and then just act like it's fine.
pretend
That
it's
doesn't
okay.
help anyone.
And imagine how important that was for Max, who's constantly being told, no, just put a smile on it. It'll be fine. You'll be happy. You'll be happy.
Have some enthusiasm.
Right.
Participate.
To be told that you're allowed to be mad about this, that it's okay to feel the way that you feel. I mean, for a kid, that's something huge.
Having your feelings validated is great. And not only that, he's like, you like, it's okay for you to be upset, but I hope one day you can find happiness because you deserve to be happy, even if you don't find it today. And it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, Malacoma put the quote in the chat. You have every right to be angry, but you deserve to be happy.
Yeah. Shut up. It's fine.
Well,
Lie here and die. Don't mind me. Don't mind me.
I will say, I did get a little bit more emotional during last season's finale.
It was...
Because there was one story, one central theme, one central everything, whereas this, they fit in all of the parents and the comedy of Cameron Campbell slowly losing his mind, and then they put a couple of bits of emotional. Works really well, and I still really enjoyed the show. And the moment where Max does a turbo hug, that's like,
He's got to go fast.
Once it hit YouTube, I took the video into my editing software and I slowed it down and watched it frame by frame. And then I cried. That's not true. But don't you tell anybody about this. So
I will murder you.
With what little time we have left, what the hell is season 3 going to be?
The Revenge of Cameron Campbell.
Yeah.
David doing his best to keep Camp Campbell afloat. Maybe he won't call it Camp Campbell anymore. Maybe it will just straight up be Camp Camp. But like, I think it's going to be him bending over backwards trying to keep the camp afloat. Especially because now you have a bunch of angry parents who know that the camp is garbage.
Then also, hopefully, they're realizing that their kids are actually benefiting from being here. So hopefully, maybe, in a kind of twisted way, this has helped ensure that the parents won't be like, I'm pulling my kid right now.
Like, this was garbage, but our kids actually are benefiting from being with these other kids. Maybe they should all stick together.
I'd say except for Harrison, but I feel like Harrison's parents just want him away.
They won't take him back anyway.
No, that's really sad.
They need to send him to the Xavier Institute.
Maybe.
Somebody pointed it out in chat. I'm sorry, I forgot who, and this was moving so fast that... Oh, no, it was Danger Dave said, so Harrison's an alchemist?
Maybe. I thought Neil was the alchemist in their little RPG group.
Yep.
I definitely think it's going to be something of they have to save Camp Campbell, and it's Max having to come to terms with what this camp is for him. And we've had all of our moments of getting to know our characters and the stakes of everything, but now it's really, does he really want Camp Camp to go away?
And I think we're going to see a little bit more of Max's and David's relationship develop, because that has been one of the through lines through both of these seasons, even starting with the season premiere where Max kind of goes, okay, I know David well enough to know that if I do this, it'll be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
All right, so since, unfortunately, we are out of time for this season finale, everybody let folks know what you're working on, what you've been recently working on, whatever. Promote what you want to promote, and let the folks at home know what you want to see in one of the bonus episodes that we're going to be getting later this year, starting with Stacey.
Oh boy. All right, I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stacey Shuttles. Right now, I'm getting back into the cosplay world. No solid news yet, but I'll keep my Twitter updated. Let's see, for what I want to see... A silly holiday episode would be fun.
Christmas in July.
Why not?
I have to change my idea.
Oh my God, you had it written down.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That's fine. I don't care.
I mean, maybe a non-denominational Christmas celebration in the summertime.
She's gonna be a whole mix.
My name is Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @themenguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. I write articles for The Movie Chick. I do videos for a YouTube channel called Silver Screams. And I do the voice of Margot Lane on the Shadow Radio Recreation, so go check that out. And what I would like to see, Summerween episode. Pull of Gravity Falls,
Yeah.
Summerween episode.
Very nice.
I'm Katie Cullen. You can follow me all over the social medias and on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. We've got a couple of shows that are still going on. Robots in Disguise, man. Tuesday nights. I am currently playing Hustle Cat on my Twitch stream, which is baby's first dating sim. And let me tell you, it has been a trip and a half. Also, the YouTube channel, if you want to see Megan and I react to these Camp Camp episodes, the YouTube channel is where that lives. I am also the other host on Silver Screams, and I am on Geek and Sundry's Gather Your Party, Friday nights, 9:30 p.m., twitch.tv/Geek and Sundry. It's all super fun. You should all do the thing.
Missed you last week. It was a really weird one.
I was ill.
Oh, never mind. Feel better. Happy you're feeling better.
I was not doing well last week, you guys. That's also why there haven't been any streams, but I'm doing better.
And I'm Mark Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Donica. I want to see the missing episode in Cookin' Cookies that our main four, I should say, crash into the den at the end of the episode. What happened? Why are they wearing those crazy hats? Hopefully we see that. We know they're recording them.
I forgot to say what I wanted.
Go ahead, say what you want.
The return of Daniel.
Oh!
Yes!
And you can also find me. I did an episode of Ready to Ramble on Hyper RPG last night. It's a wrestle talk show. Go ahead and check that out. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of wrestling content here. Also, if you like gaming, Inventory Full is on the Popcorn Talk Network. Stacey and I are a part of that. It's a lot of fun, as well as Patrick, our fifth member. And the last thing, make sure to go to the Ruby iTunes feed. Subscribe to that. That's where Rooster Teeth Reviews is going to be going, and we're going to be having more announcements on that. On our group Twitter page, ABTV Rooster Team, follow us all there. Thank you so much to all of the campers that sent in camp activities. And remember, if you listen to this after the fact, we still want to see them. Don't let that ABTV Camp Camp hashtag die. Go keep using it. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next year. Camp ADM.
Camp ADM.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Camp ADM.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.